This is Gemara and Yoma Daf Yomi. All the learning for this month, the month of Iyar, has been generously sponsored b'schus refuah shlema for Rivka Bas Basheva, as well as b'schus refuah shlema for Natalia Shiva Michal Esther. They should hopefully have a tremendous refuah shlema during this month of refuahs. Mir Hashem, looking to hear fabulous news. Of course, this week is as well sponsored b'schus refuah shlema for Sarah Bas Kila. Baruch Hashem, she was moved out of the ICU yesterday. And we're hoping to hear continued good news. As well, the rest of our Chayim and Vivega Chaim Mesar Shalom Vasim and Rizal Sarvas Kananzi to Basim Chayser Yisrael Mendel the President Shavlei Shamas Nabim Shafir Shvir Val Davin Teriva Shmo Ben Til Dinim Khan Rizal Mulchay Vasim the Brachas of Musa Dinadim Shin Mindas and Khotav and Vega Fashiz and Vega Verim Tchasul and Lehuva Menachem Mendel Ben Toba B'Sar Shar Chali Yisrael as well as Chashirach for Atalea Bas Ita. So today's daf is daf Yud Zayin. At the end of yesterday, we ran through Tezayin and Beis, and we said we'd go over it a little bit slower. That's what we're going to do right now for a few moments. And then we will go over a picture, and Mir Hashem, that will make everything a bit more clear. Yesterday, the basic thrust of the discussion was proving that Midas, the Mishnayos and Midas that deal with the base of English, is Rav Elazar ben Yankiv. And we had two rayas on Tezayin and Aleph. Tezayin and Beis, as we flipped over, we said, no, maybe not. Maybe it's Rav Yehuda. And the reason why that wall of the eastern wall had to be lower was in order to see through. Was why? Because the Mizbeach was blocking the sight. Not because it's Rav Elazar ben Yaakov that held that is 20 and a half amos, but rather it's because the Mizbeach was blocking. So over here in the Zayin and Beis, the Gemara says, 5 lines down. Is it true that the Mizbeach is smack in middle? Meaning, according to Rav Yehuda, the Mizbeach was smack in middle. Therefore, it blocked your sight to see the door of the Eichel. The problem is, in the Mishnayos, in Midas, we see not that way, but now we learned in the Mishnah. The Azara on the base of Mikdash was 187 by 135. Now, first, the Gemara is going to explain the 187, which is the length, which is really not our discussion right now. Then we're going to get to the width, which is going to show us where the Mizbeach was. So first the Gemara says, which was what? Again, we're now walking into the base of Mikdash, going through the Azara as we enter to the Kodesh HaKodashim. Makim Jesus Ragli Yisrael was Yad Alf Amma. Us regularly Yisraelim walk in the first 11 Amis. Then Makim Jesus Ragli Kanim Yad Alf Amma. Kehanim walk in the next 11 Amis. Then Mizbeach Ishleish Vishtayim. The Mizbeach is the next 32 Amis. Bein Ulam the Mizbeach is Asif Vishtayim. Then between the Mizbeach and the Ulam was a space of 22 amos. The Heichel itself was Kof Amma, Yud Aleph Amma, Choyri Bisa Kapairis, and 11 amos in the back. So that's the length of the Azara, the 187. But now, what we need right now is Minadarim L'Safon is Meir Shalim V'Chamesh. The width was 135. Hakeves v'Mizbeach was Shtayim V'Sheva. Remember, the Mizbeach was massive. It was 32 amos was the actual Mizbeach, plus the Kavesh was plus the ramp, which was another 30, which is 62 amos in total. This is the width. Mina Mizrach from the east. Ulatabais was how much? Was Chas amos, 8 amos. Makam Atabais, place of the rings, was Esrim V'Arba. 20 Makmatabois Esrim, Va'arba Minatabois L'Shalchanes, 4 amos between the rings. These are the rings that held down the carbones, and the tables rinse off the carbones. Arba Minashalchanes L'Anasim, Arba Minanasim L'Kaisel, and then 4 from those pillars to the wall, and then Azar L'Kaisel Azara, and Ches Amos was another 8 amos. Va'amoiser ben Kevazul Kaisel was the final remaining little area left. Umakam and Nasim. Let's now go to a picture. So according to Rav Yehuda, and we'll explain what we just read. According to Rav Yehuda, you see that the Mizbeach is smack in middle, blocking your door. Here's your door. Right here is the door, the Heichel as it says. The Mizbeach is blocking. But this is what the Gemara just went to prove, and now we're going to walk through all the measurements. So starting from the bottom of your page, as you see, is from the Mizbeach is 10 and a half amos, is a Mizbeach away from the wall. The Mizbeach is 62 amos. That's already 72 and a half amos. Now the whole area was 135. If we're already 72 and a half amos, that means that we're already basically took up that whole left area. So that's why it shows us that the Mizbeach is on the bottom half, the southern half. It's not in the middle. Now what's on the other side of the Mizbeach? You see over here, you have your 8 amos in your Mizbeach and your rings. The rings beams themselves were 24 amis. Then you had 4 between there and the tables. The tables themselves were 4 amis. From the tables to the pillars was another 4 amis. The pillars were 10.5 amis. Then you had 8 amis at the end. But again, the critical ingredient that we're pointing out is that the Mizbeach is on the lower southern half. It's not blocking the door. And the truth is, as you see in this beautiful picture, this is where the Mizbeach was. That dotted line is showing us that I could see right over the Soivev, which is the base around. I can see right over the edge, and I'm going to be able to see the door. So according to Rav Yehuda, the reason the wall was made lower was because it's blocking it. But it's not blocking it according to the Stam Mishnah is in Midais, says the Gemara. And over here you see another picture. This is really moving the other way. I'm sorry, this is the same picture, but it's just showing us a little bit more of a color depiction. As you see over here, that the Mizbeach was more to the left, which is the southern side. And maybe now everyone will get a little bit better picture of exactly where we are. This is the entrance to Ulam, and you see the Mizbeach is all the way on the left side. So it's not blocking the door, and really you can see directly over the Soiviv. That is the Gemara's question. Now we see the Mishnah is in Midas is Rav Yehuda, not Rav Elazar in Yaakov. As the Gemara speaks out, the majority of the Mizbeach is in the Darim, is in the south. Today's Daf Yomi, Shema Mina Rav Elazar ben Yaakov, Shema Mina, and that is our conclusive raya that the Mishnah is in Midas are indeed Rav Elazar ben Yaakov. Says the Gemara, Rav Ada, Breder Rav Yitzchak Amar. Hi Lishka, Aksuye Miksei Udaasi Mitzafin. This lishka of the talaim, of the lambs, this lishka that if you remember, if we go back 2 days ago, we had 2 brises. Tezvavim and Beis. We had a brisa that listed the 4 rooms in the Beis HaMoikad. We had the lishkas hatalayim, we had the lishkas hachaisamais, we had the lishkas of the fire, and we had the lechem upon him. And then we quoted a second mishnah. There was 2 mishnayos. One was in Talmud and one was in Midos. And at that point, we didn't really focus on all the rooms because we brought it down as we were asking a stira in where the lishkas hatalayim were, the chamber of the lambs, and at that point we answered up the stira by making it a machlaik as tanayim. But now the Gemara asks, comes along Rav Ada bar Yitzchak, and he says, I'll give you a different way of learning those 2 mishnayos. That in reality, we said it's Rav Huna and Rav Elazar ben Yaakov. That's what we got into the Rav Elazar ben Yaakov yesterday. Says Rav Ada bar Breder Rav Yitzchak, I'm sorry, no. I'll explain to you differently. That really a high lishka, when you're coming in from the north, and we'll show a picture in a moment, I'm sorry, Bisava Mischazle. Bidarum Mischazle Bidarim. Udasi Midarai Mischazle Bitsafin. Says Rav Ada Breder Rav Yitzchak, it's all a matter of perspective. So the truth is, in the bottom of the Gemara here, we already have one picture, but I like a little bit of a perhaps better picture. This is what the Gemara is saying. As you see over here, basically what you're seeing is that this Lishkas HaTalaim was sort of in the middle. It wasn't in the northwest, and it wasn't in the north-south. Well, yeah, this is actually a little bit better, easier to see. You see the Lishkas HaTalaim over here. On one hand, if I were to ask you, all the yous out there, where's the Lishkas HaTalaim? So you would tell me it's in the southwest. But wait, is it also in the northwest? Of course, because it's over that middle line. So it's a bit northwest, it's a bit southwest. So we just answered up that stira between the 2 mishnayos, the Mishnah and Talmud and the Mishnah and Midais, it's a little bit in the middle, it's just in the southwestern more corner. So now, depending on where you're entering, it's going to look the other way. When you come from the top of the picture over here from the north, looks like it's on the bottom, the southwest. When I come from the bottom, it looks like it's in the northwest. And that is how the Gemara is answering up the stira. That is how Rav Ada, Breder Rav Yitzchak is answering up the stira. Now the Gemara furthers and explains that in reality, umistavra. Again, let's just speak to that one more time. Rav Ada Breder Rav Yitzchak just taught us that the way to answer up the stira is that the lishkas Beis HaTalayim is a little bit in the middle, so it depends on your perspective. You come from the bottom, looks on the top, come from the top, looks on the bottom. And one Mishnah, there for the Mishnah Midah, said it's in the southwest, there for the Mishnah Tamid, told us it's in the northwest. Each one was coming from a different direction. Now comes Rav Ada Breder Rav Yitzchak and he says, umistavra. What I just told you is logical. And it's mistaver that the majority is in the Maravis Draimis. Mimai. How do I know that? Because in reality, there's a stira, there's a contradiction between where the lechem aponim was, umishaninon, and we answered up that stira. The way that I'm explaining, says Rav Ada Breder Rav Yitzchak, I could answer up the stira between the two brisas of where the lechem hapanim were. And basically, the way that it's going to work over here is, we'll pull up the picture and we'll explain, is in this picture, the Lishkas Beis Talayim is in your southwest corner. Like we said, it's a little bit in both. Now, the Lishka of the lechem hapanim in your bottom right corner over here, it's on the right of the Lishkas Beis Talayim. So basically, what's going to happen over here is, it depends which way you're counting. Are you going to go clockwise or counterclockwise? What you're looking in front of you, this is the Mishnah on Midais. And this Mishnah on Midais, we're going to be going counterclockwise. When I go counterclockwise, left to right, I go for the chamber of the lambs over here, the Lishkas Talayim, then I go around, up around. Then next is going to come the Lishkas of the Lechem HaPanim. And this is the reason why, when you go back to that Mishnah, so if you were to peek back at this Vav and Beis, you would find that when we quoted the Mishnah Midais, we listed where everything was. We said the Lishka Beis Talayim was southwest, over here, the bottom left corner. We said the Lishka Lechem HaPanim was over here, was in the southeast. And that Mishnah was very explicit. And it said in the northeast, was over here was the chamber of the fire, which he said is really where they buried they put the Mishkan that was defiled, and the top left was the northwest, was the Beis HaTfilah. Now the problem was in the other Mishnah on Tamid, which is the picture that you see over here, it listed it slightly differently. The Mishnah on Tamid said that the Lishka Beis, I'm speaking out now, the Mishnah on Tamid. It said the Lishkas Beis HaTlaim, as you see over here in the top left corner of your screen, is in the northwest. That's what the Mishnah said. And then the Mishnah said, and there was three other rooms. There was the Lishka Chaisamais, the Lishkas Beis HaMoikad, and the Lishka Lechem HaPanim. So 1 second. So now they're in the wrong place. The answer is what we just said. Again, Tlaim is in the southwestern corner, up top northwestern, a little bit in between. So now, the first Mishnah is going counterclockwise this way. The second Mishnah is going clockwise the other way. So in the second Mishnah, it starts with the Lishkas Beis Tlaim in your top left corner, which we know wasn't really in the top left corner, it's really a little bit lower down. And now, if you count the other way, that is how you get the names like we just said. And here is another depiction here's another depiction of what we just spoke out. This picture's flipped, so I don't want to confuse everyone, but it's the same thing. Is here you see the Lishkas Beis Tlaim in the middle, and you see that if you were to count counterclockwise, what's the next thing you're going to hit? Is going to be the Lishka of the Lechem HaPanim, whereas in this picture, when you count clockwise, when you count clockwise, what's going to be next is going to first be the Lishkas Beis Chaisamais, and then at the end is going to be the Lechem HaPanim. So Lechem HaPanim is basically on the two sides, depending on which way you go, right? You go right or you go left. If you go clockwise, you go counterclockwise. Now you know what the tremendous Rashi of this Amud is discussing. Amar Avuna Brei Rav Yeshua, Marka Chashav Derech Yamin, or Marka Chashav Derech Small. Comes along Rav Huna Brei Rav Yeshua, and he speaks out basically we just said that it depends if you're going right, it depends if you're going left. The Mishkan, the first Mishnah Midas, like we said, is going left to right, and the Mishnah Talmud is going right to left. As we flip over to Yudayim Beis, explains the Gemara. If you're going to explain, like Rav Ada Brei Rav Yitzchak just explained, that the Lishkas Beis Talayim was the majority of it was in the southwestern corner, then everything is good, like we just explained. Eliyam, it's fine. Is my Rav Savai. If the Lishkas Beis Tlaim was in the northwestern corner, it was higher up. So if might do to Lechem HaPanim, you're going to run into an issue. You don't have an answer to your Lechem HaPanim. So Elalav Shema Mino, like we just spoke out, Rav Savai, it was in the southwestern corner. Shema Mino. So again, to make a bit of a complicated story a bit simpler, what's going on over here is we had two different Mishnayos. One listed the precise location of Lishkas Beis Tlaim in southwest, Lishkas Lechem HaPanim in the southeast. The other brisa, other Mishnah, said Lishvi Islam is in the northwest, and then it just listed the other four. And what's going on over here is, which way are you counting? That's going to come to make where all the rooms are. But the question is, says the Gemara, like we spoke about 2 days ago, that when you're walking, we said you always make right turns. We spoke about it's really a left turn. It means that you're going counterclockwise. So why over here, if we have two different Mishnayos, are we allowed to say one is going clockwise, one is going counterclockwise? The Mizrach to the east answers the Gemara. That's true if you're doing the Avodah. Over here, we're not doing the Avodah. Over here, what are we discussing? We're depicting how the Beis HaMikdash looks. So therefore, we do not have to necessarily only go to the right. Says the Gemara, finishing up for today. So he said in the Mishnah that the Kohen Gadol always has the right to take whatever he wants. The Kohen Gadol, if he wants the head, takes the head. He wants the leg, takes the leg. Kohen Gadol always gets whatever he likes. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan. We learned in the Reisa. Ketzad makriv chelek b'roish. Let's say the Kohen Gadol wants the head, the roish. Aimer, oila zu ani makriv. He says, I'm going to bring this oila. Mincha zu ani makriv. I'm going to bring this mincha. Ketzad noital chelek b'roish. Aimer, chadza zu ani oichel. Hashem zani oichel. B'noital chela mishtei chalois. Arba oichamesh v'maisel achem upon him. Basically, the Kohen Gadol is allowed to take whatever he wants. Rashi over here starts pointing out that when it says mishtei chalois, it's coming up. That's the shtei chalois of the carbon and shvuas. The when it says 4 or 5, what's that referring to? So Rashi points out that's referring to every Shabbos when we talk about taking the lachma upon him, the 12 breads. So we can take 4 or 5 of them. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Omer lo olam chamish. No, he always takes 5. Again, what's going on over here is. It's a little bit interesting, is that the Brisa taught us he can take whatever carbon he wants, and then it said when it comes to Shvuos, he takes achas mishtei chalis, one of 2. When it comes to when it comes to the lechem upon him, arba chamish. 4 or 5. So anyone who's thinking realizes something's a bit funny over here. By there's 2 of the on Shavuos, he's saying 1 of 2, he's saying half. By the lachma upon him, he's saying 4 or 5. That's a random number. So Rabbi says chamish shenamar v'hoisel aron l'banav mechsel aron u'mechsel l'banav. Says Rabbi, no. Really, you take 5, half is for Aaron, and half is for his children. So half is for Aaron, as you look in Rashi. Says Rashi, Mechsi la'Aaron. Says Rashi, Va'afal pi sheit shnei masar. Everyone's wondering, 1 second. There's 12. Okay. So let's get all the details on the table. It's really going to take us into tomorrow. We're just going to start it off. Says the Gemara. There's 12 lechem upon him. So we have a brisa. The first part of the brisa says the Kohen Gadol takes whatever he wants. He wants the head. He wants the legs. He wants this. He takes mincha. Whatever he wants. Okay. When it comes to Shavuos, he takes 1 of 2, which we would all assume means he gets half. Okay. Then it says by lechem upon him. What do you take? 4 or 5? Very random because there's 12. What's 4 or 5? Okay, put that on the side. Rabbi came along and Rabbi said, no, you take 5. 5? You know why? It says Rabbi. Half for Aaron, half for his children. So half, we're all thinking, okay, so Kohen Gadol take 6, because it's 12. So why does it say, Rabbi says you get 5? So Rashi is already foreshadowing and pointing out what's going on over here is there some of the chalis of lechem abanim that no one gets, that aren't part of the division? There are going to be 10 of the division. So says Rabbi, of the 10 of the division, Kohen Gadol gets 5, the children get the other 5. Now the Gemara explains. Hagufa kasha. This is a stira contradiction. Tanakama said you take 1 of 2. Mani. That's Rabbi. That's the opinion of Rabbi that says what? Amar. He damar palga shakel. That you get half. Okay, so case number 1, lechem abanim, you get half is Rabbi. Ema Mitziyasa, case number 2 is what? Arba Chamish, you take 4 or 5. Upon him, who's that? Asya Mirabanan. That's no longer Rabbi, because Rabbi said you get half. 4 or 5 is not half, so that is the Rabbanan. Says the Gemara. You know why? The Amri Loy Shakal Palga. The Rabbanan hold you never take half. As Rashi over here points out, the Amri Loy Shakal Palga, Di Shakal Palga, Batzim Chamish Loy Shakal. You should never take less than 5. Okay, so that's going with the Rabbanan. So case number 1 is Rabbi. Case number 2 is the Rabbanan. Ema Seifa, Rabbi Yomer Chamish. What's going on over here? Reish of a Seifa, Rabbi Mitzvah Rabbanan. The Mishnah, this makes no sense. First it says you take 1 of 2. Okay, Rabbi, you get half. Then it says 4 or 5. Rabbanan, you don't get half. Then it says you get 5. Rabbi, you get half. What's going on? Amar Abaya, Reisha umitzi asa Rabbanan. Abaye says, no, you got it wrong. It's not Reisha v'Sefer Rebbe Nisas Rabbanan. Really, the Reisha is also the Rabbanan. When the Reisha said you get one of two, is also the Rabbanan. How could that be? The Rabbanan said you should take half. When there were only two, what are your options? The Rabbanan hold, generally we want the Kohen Gadol to get less than half. But if you have only two, what are your options? What, should you take less than one? It's not nice for the Kohen Gadol to get less than one. Therefore says Abaye, that first case and the second case is the Rabbanan, and it's just not proper, and that's where the first case is 1 or 2, and the second case is 4 or 5. It's really going with the sheet of the Rabbanan. They always want less than half. Really, as we flip over, we're going to not finish this, we're going to take this over tomorrow, but now the Gemara says, Umay arba or chamish, what 4 or 5 the Rabbanan? The Amri nichnas noitel sheish, the Yaitse noitel sheish. Uschar agofas losais. So now again, we're going to go into the rest of the Shak V'Tar. I just wanted everyone to see what's going on over here. Is we said Rashi pointed out that there's a part of the division that no one gets, and that's what I want everyone to see. That's a schar agofas losais. There was a special reward for closing the gates of the Beis Hamikdash, and those were 2 chalais. So if you took those 2 chalais off, that goes to for the closing the doors. You have 10 left. Then we're going to play with 10, you get half, and we'll finish off this discussion tomorrow.